Hey guys, it's Maple here once again, and I've got another new build that I'd like to show you guys. And this time it's a self-cast crit Shock Nova Witch. So this character I started on Warbands. I'm currently level 89. Up until about 85 I was Ethereal Knives, and that was the entire plan for the character. But at some point I picked up Shock Nova, or I was leveling it, I picked it up and gave it a shot, and it's actually turned out to be one of the most fun skills I've played in recent memory. Shock Nova, the playstyle of the DPS, the bursts, the AoEs. So I'll go into a bit of a detail about how to build the character, what it entails, and I'll do a bit of a map as well. But this is just some gameplay going on here. Basically, you're just whirling through everything. You have Fortify attached to your whirling blades. I'm dual wield daggering, just so I can get as much crit as possible to give as much consistency as possible for DPS. Should have a boss around here somewhere. That's him there. So the inner ring of Shock Nova does do slightly less damage, so ideally you want things to hit the outermost edge. Paired with this build I have Flame Totem, which is on a 4-link, and that just helps me get some single target DPS as well as tanking. As you can see, by itself it actually does quite a lot of work. So it just helps out on single target to take some of the damage as well as do quite a bit of DPS itself, because it does 17k DPS with full charges up. My Shock Nova itself is 21k DPS, that's on a 5-link, and it also has Hypothermia. So that was just a bit of the gameplay to get us going, and now I'll delve a bit more into the build itself. So I'm running basically all the shenanigans. We've got ourselves Mind Over Matter, we've got Eldritch Battery, and we've got Zealot's Oath. Up until one level ago, up until level 88, I was running purely off of mana without Eldritch Battery, without Zealot's Oath, and without Mind Over Matter. I was just something like 4.5k life with about 2k ES, and that was perfectly fine. But mana does start to hurt, especially once you get up to the 5-link stage. Shock Nova costs 70 mana, and you cast it pretty regularly, so I had to use a mana pot, I had to use Rallying Cry, and it got a bit annoying. At this stage, I think Zealot's Oath and EB with Mind Over Matter is probably the best way to build a spellcaster and this character, because you can end up reaching about 5k life if you want. You can go over 2k ES as well, so it actually ends up being somewhat tanky for a spellcaster. You can also put on a shield for a lot more ES life and resist if you really need to, but I'm choosing to dual wield daggers just so I can get as much spell crit as possible. With my skill, Shock Nova, I've managed to get about 51 crit. With power charges up, I think I have about 70% crit, so it's pretty good consistent crit, and that's without using anything like Malagaros and one Diamond Ring. A bit of crit there as well. But the main thing about this build is Call of the Brotherhood. This ring, essentially, it's got some other perks and all that, but I'm basically using it for the 50% lightning converted to cold. As you can see, I have quite a substantial amount of cold damage there. Take it off, and almost all of my damage is lightning. Put it back on, huge amounts of cold. So what that does is help to freeze, chill, and shatter large packs, bosses, whatever. Paired with something like Hypothermia, it's quite a lot more damage. And yeah, I really do recommend this ring. You can go without it, but it's just a bit less defensively strong. And even in some cases offensively, because Herald of Thunder does quite a lot of work, as I have both, Herald of Ice I mean, as I have both Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder. Speaking of which, I have Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice both attached to Curse on Hit Assassin's Mark, so I get power charges pretty quickly, pretty instantly, and this also helps to fill out quite a lot of my life gain. Kill large packs and you get lots of life gain whenever you kill an enemy. So what else? My 5-link is Shock Nova, Spell Echo, Increased Area of Effect, Hypothermia, and Faster Casting. You get a bunch of increased area on the passive tree. It's pretty vital to get. I would highly recommend it. As well as that, increased area, it's pretty noticeable. There's our skill with that area. There's our skill with area. so it's fairly useful to get. You can go a carcass jack, they're fairly expensive and you won't get quite as much ES out of it, so be careful with that. I'm also leveling ball lightning and using it when you really want a big single target or to be kind of safer. So whenever you have somewhat of a dangerous map that you want to stay away from monsters, you use ball lightning, you play it a bit safer, you do a bit more range. That paired with your whirling blades makes a fairly safe playstyle if that's how you want to go about it. Shock Nova is great DPS, but its single target is a bit lacking because you always have to hit it in the right place, and it's just an AoE skill. If you really want, you could sub in Conk Effect for increased area just for the big single targets. So let's have a look at my daggers. What's important on a dagger like this is huge, a base to have 80% crit is ideal, a big spell crit roll, a crit multi-roll, a spell power roll, and cold or lightning to spells is great. This dagger also has 23 attack speed, which makes whirling blades a bit faster, and that's rather nice, just a bit of a perk. So I tried to get 2 daggers pretty similar to that. The rest of your gear is basically just energy shield and armor with life, so hybrid gear, and that's just what I bought. It's pretty cheap gear if you come by it at the right time and off the right people. Oh, life, resist. Blood Dance boots, that's actually the source of my frenzy charges. So I only have 3 frenzy charges right now, but I'm not going to use Blood Rage or anything else, so this is the only way I could get frenzy charges, so I think it's worth doing because that's 12% more damage as well as 3% more life regenerated on my ES, so it ends up helping out my mana as well as my survivability through Blood Dance boots. You can go some other routes if you really want to, but I'm enjoying Blood Dance for the moment. Yeah. Leveling was pretty casual. I went with EK all the way through. So I went up here, filled out this stuff, went straight to the Shadow Tree, filled out Sniper and all that, and then went over the Templar Tree. Eventually, you're going to want to drop things like that. If you drop out of EK onto Shock Nova, that'll also nerf your Flame Totem a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. Shock Nova absolutely wrecks stuff. Now, I'll jump into this map just for a bit more of a demo. It's a dry peninsula, level 75, with Fracture, which is always a lot of fun, so it pretty much breaks my computer with the amount of shattering and critting I do, and it kinda looks really impressive in the long run. It just makes for a very fun build to play. That said though, I don't have any sort of life leech or life regen since all of it is converted to EB. So you can feel a bit vulnerable at times. You've got a pre-pot, your granite, your series flask, and always be ready to mash any sort of life pots if you get in danger. On top of that, my other defense is 3 endurance charges, which I keep up through Enduring Cry. And that also serves to fill out a bit of ES, because it gives you 350 life regenerated whenever you hit it, and that goes straight to your ES since we have a Zealot's Oath. As you can see, it's a pretty fast, pretty effective, and satisfying build to play. What do we get? Nothing too special. It's a pretty ballsy playstyle if you want it to be. Like I said, we got Fortify attached to our Whirling Blades, so you just spin straight into packs, or if you want to play it a bit safer, around the side of them. See if we can roll this gem-coated box up to get some magic packs actually, because it's a pretty good box killing build as well, I should mention. Flame Golem is what I'm using, 20% increased damage. I think that's stronger than just 20% crit, because that's the alternative on an Ice Golem. Or if you really want, you can go a Chaos Golem. Just a bit more survivability. Come on, rolls. There it is. So we drop our Flame Totem, fully heal ourselves. You got Vile Clarity to make skill free, you got Vile Discipline to be tanky. And all you gotta do is hope for a crit, and magic happens. So here we go. Drop our totem. Not even gonna move. I think there was some corrupting blood in there somewhere. Doesn't matter. No one cares. So that was, yeah. quite intense laggy, and just nice. So as far as playing the build itself and leveling, it's been fairly smooth. I die occasionally to some really tough map mods and just a reckless playstyle, but if you play it well enough, carefully enough, and don't do anything super dangerous, it does end up being a fairly survivable build. Or you could just go EK. You could turn this into kind of anything. This build is sort of a good enough template for crit just about every skill. EK, Arc, Glacial Cascade, Flame Totems. Just going to try and find the boss and drop some ball lightnings on his face so you can see the single target potential. So here it is. Don't need to change anything except for ball lightning subbed on. This actually creates quite a bit of graphical FPS lag because we're hitting so frequently and nothing's dying. But pretty easy, pretty solid kill there. Finish off the rest of the map later. So what else should I mention? You got your Fortify, your faster attacks, your Whirling Blows for the maximum speed, Vile Discipline, Vile Clarity. If you can fit increased duration on there somewhere, do so. I should probably actually try to do that eventually. Wrath gives you a pretty good damage boost to your Shock Nova. Flame Golem, Flame Dash, I don't really use right now, but you can use it. I just don't really have any room on it for it on my bar. Flame Totem itself has Flame Totem, Added Chaos, Faster Proj, and Fire Pen. I've added Chaos attached because that really helps on Elemental Equilibrium maps and high resist monsters. So you can just drop that guy and he'll do work against, you know, tanky things like golems, for example. Or, yeah. Not sure what else to say. What else there is to say. Defenses right now, just 11% fizz reduction. That's mostly from the armor I get from items like those, and it goes up to like 23% with endurance charges. Almost no evasion. Resists aren't too hard to cap. I'm a little uncapped on my code, and I need to fix that at some point. Bandits, just usual. What did I go with? Passive, Alira, and Power Charge. But it's a little bit flexible and kind of up to you. All in all, this was the Shock Nova Witch on Warbands. I think you can play it on Tempest if you really want to, but I'm sticking to softcore. It's a much more fun playstyle to engage in when you let yourself have the opportunity to die. In any case, I hope you guys try Shock Nova out. It's actually a really amazing skill these days. Closest thing I've come to making a D2 Lightning or Nova Sork since playing D2. As always, I am Mathel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.